What it do, what it do, what it do. It's your boy once again, Mclinn. Today, we're going to be talking about self-worth. Now, the dictionary defines self-worth as the sense of one's own value or worth as a person. The sense of one's own value or worth as a person. Now, where does that come from? Okay, so I lump self-worth in with self-esteem, self-respect, self-love, because I think those are the root seeds that project outwardly, right? We need to get those in order. Otherwise, we're going to be looking externally for things that that are going to give us value outside of ourselves. So society is going to define value or self-worth a certain way. Your friends, your family, the media, they're all going to define it differently. So if we don't have a definition of what it is for ourselves, we're going to take on other people's interpretation or society's interpretation of self-worth. Okay? And it might not be very beneficial to the individual. Okay? Your self-worth is a function of how you value yourself. To build your self-worth, you must first discover your values and then make up your own definition of success. Your values are nothing more than what you value in life. You probably already know that society places excessive value on the outward appearances of success, such as money, material possessions, physical appearance, marital status, career, and so on. In contrast, little consideration is ever given to the loftier values of a person, such as love, integrity, kindness, emotional intelligence, forgiveness, compassion, appreciation, gratitude, inner balance when defining one's success. This means that we have a warped definition of success based largely on outward appearances, which really results in a warped sense of self-worth. We just talked about that. Society places excessive value on the outward appearances of success, such as money, material possessions, physical appearance, marital status, career, and so on. Right? So that's what happens. We, who's got the most money, who's got the nicest car, we value those people. Big house, the guy with the most women, the beautiful woman with the greatest body. You know what I mean? Like, we get to comparing ourselves and placing value on things that are outside of ourselves. I know that this was a major obstacle for me. I had no idea that I didn't have a high self-worth of myself. Okay, I thought I did, but it was based in outward appearances. So it was material things. It was comparing myself based on what somebody else was doing, and then basing my self-worth on what somebody else was doing, right? So I'm giving off that energy unbeknownst to me that I'm not worthy. I don't know what my value is. So inevitably, based on universal laws, I'm going to attract situations that are going to validate how I feel about myself. So it's great to know that now because an adjustment was made, but at that time, not knowing. And then I keep making the same decisions when it comes to money, when it comes to women, when it comes to opportunity. Things were blowing up in my face, and I didn't understand why, because I was working so hard to acquire things, but I realize now it was based on an interpretation of what I thought my value was. So when I sat down and thought about what my value is, what do I want my value to be? Because here's the thing, when you take time to reflect, reflection is very important. So when you take time to look back at where you are and what you've done in your life, right? And I realized something, that I was the common denominator in every situation. So it seemed like different people, different circumstances, but the one common thread was me. So all the ones that didn't go the way I thought they should, it can't be everybody's fault every single time, or it was every situation that wasn't conducive to me. I'm the common denominator. It's got to be me. So I had to stop and take a look at the decisions and choices I was making, and I realized something, that I kept putting myself in a position in situations that didn't appreciate what I brought to the table. So I was like, man, why do I keep doing that? I was like, who are you, man? Like, what's the value that you place in yourself? Because if I actually valued myself, I wouldn't continually allow myself to be taken advantage of, right? So I took out a piece of paper and wrote it down, what I thought my values were. And then I wrote down also what I want to be, like who do I want to come off, what kind of energy, like. And then once I did that, I realized that a lot of the stuff I was writing down was things outside of me. Some of the stuff was internal, wanting to be a person of integrity, wanting to be reliable, somebody that showed compassion, was a good communicator, honest. Like a lot of the stuff was in there, but it was also how much money I got, kind of car that I drive, that where I live, my occupation, and that wasn't good. So I removed a lot of those material things, a lot of those external things, and I added more internal things. I wanted my spirit to be strong. I wanted my intellect to be great. I wanted my mentality to be fortified. So if it was qualities that I didn't possess, but I knew people that had them, that inspired me or that I aspired to be like, I wrote those down, researched them, figured out ways that I can make that a part of my being, because that's the energy that I wanted to give off. And then I became that. I practiced those things, and then when something or someone showed up that didn't appreciate or wasn't in alignment with what I was saying my value was, I didn't deal with them. A lot of people fell off. A lot of toxic relationships went by the wayside once I defined my value system and my belief system and held myself to that standard. Okay? Discover how you value yourself. Some of this stuff is going to be repetitive, but it doesn't matter. It's good to hear it over and over. You are likely to find that specific outward appearances automatically trigger a need within you to compare yourself to others. Whether it is how much money someone else has or is making, how physically attractive they are, their relationship status, or what material possessions they own, and so on. Dig a little deeper, and you will find that you have unwittingly placed an undue value on these outward appearances and are using them to determine your own self-worth. We just talked about that. In other words, how much money you have, how attractive you are, and so on, have become the determining function of your self-worth, and usually in isolation of all of your other qualities and achievements. Such specific comparisons leave you temporarily feeling either better or worse about yourself, depending on where you rank yourself on society's scale of success. Guys, we see this every single day, right? I've already acknowledged that I used to do some of this. Maybe you can see it in yourself, but we see it on social media. We see women that they have Instagram profiles where you never see their face. All you see is butt shots, boob shots, right? And guys, we're no different. Pec shots, bicep shots. Ooh, this is the car that I have. Flashing, I got this much money. I'm in a jacuzzi with full girl. Like, that's what we see it every day. Very rarely do you see pictures of, someone expressing love or expressing integrity or dependability or reliability. Like, we don't really see that. We see, fancy cars, hot women, buff dudes, right? And I'll talk a little bit later. I'm not saying that you can't choose to go after those things, but they shouldn't define who you are. There's a major difference of aspiring to have certain things because you're choosing to have that experience, and then doing those things because it defines you, right? You are your clothes. You are the car that you drive. You are the occupation that you do for a living. Like, you're that. I am that. When people say I stopped saying I am an actor. No, I do acting. Because when I say I am an actor, then I'm identifying as an actor, and then whatever comes with that. Now, I'm choosing to be an actor. I love what I do, but it's just something that I literally, I just said it. It's something that I do. I'm so much more than just that one thing. You are so much more than your car or your bank account or your occupation or your relationship. I always come back to this. You were made in the image and likeness of God. That's who you are. If you want to identify with something, identify with that. Identify your self-worth and your self-image and your self-esteem and your self-respect based on that you're the image and likeness of God. Not because of how cute you are, how handsome you are, or what kind of shape that you're in, right? I'm not saying those things aren't important. But choose them because it's just something that you want to go after as opposed to it defining you. Okay? That's really important. The relative nature of outward appearances. Take a moment and make a list of all those outward appearances that you have inadvertently made the yardstick of your inner self-worth. See how all these things on your list actually require you to compare yourself to others or to seek outside approval in order to determine your self-value or how well you're doing. In other words, you can never really gauge how much money you have if you do not compare it to someone else's bank account, or how attractive you are if you do not compare yourself to someone else's looks. Okay? The changeability of outward appearances. Outward appearances are highly subject to change. A multi-millionaire can find himself bankrupt overnight, and the beggar can find himself a millionaire. There are no absolutes in outward appearances. The problem with this is that if you are using such changeable things to define your self-worth, then you are left aiming at an always moving target, because there will always be someone richer, more attractive, more materially successful than you. It can be no other way in the physical world of relatives. So comparing yourself and basing those things on your own personal value, like, it's never going to be fulfilling, right? There's always going to be somebody that is doing it a little bit better, is a little bit younger, a little bit taller, a little bit more attractive, a little bit, in better shape, got more money, got a nicer car. You know what I mean? Like, it's never going to end. There's 7 billion people on this planet, right? You got to define it for yourself. You got to define it for yourself. The paradox of valuing outward appearances. How you value yourself is a reflection of how you value others. For instance, if you have placed an undue value on money as a symbol of success, then in your estimation, people with more money are to be admired more than those with less money. Ironically, the very people who you admire most are also the people you envy most when their bank balances outdo yours. Therein lies the paradox. Whatever you admire most, you must also envy. In other words, you can never really be happy for those you admire most when your own self-worth is based on outward appearances. I hope you follow that. That's a really key point. If you're basing your value, your self-worth, self-value, those words are interchangeable, on outward appearances, right? So somebody else, is doing it bigger, better than you are, right? It's hard to appreciate what they're doing and not also be envious if that's my definition of success, because they're doing it and you're not. So it's not going to make you feel good that they're doing it and you're not. Now, if I'm able to define my own self-value, self-worth, right? And then I look at somebody else who's doing something that I aspire to do, then, I can appreciate what they're doing and look to them as a source of inspiration, because they're doing something. But if I never achieve it, it doesn't take away from who I am as a human being, right? Once again, who I am is the image and likeness of God, right? So me choosing that experience, look, trust me, I'm trying to have paper, okay? I've had some money, I've lost money. Now I'm trying to get it again. I got a buddy, he's a comedian, his name is Royale Watkins. If you've never heard of him, look him up. He got a premise for a joke. He says, Brooke, the only thing worse than being broke is being broke again. So I'm not trying to be broke again. All right? It happens to the best of us. You make it. If you made it once, you can make it again. The key is, how do you maintain it? How do you keep it? We see it all day long with athletes coming into money, and then when their career's over, they don't have nothing, right? Because we're placing our value outside of internal circumstances. The value is on the big house. You're making $10 million a year as an athlete, and you're living on $10 million a year. Now, that's not how you maintain your money. You live below what you earn. You save money. You invest money. You know, that was what I was doing. I'll make $100. I was spending $100 because I was trying to keep up with the latest in clothes, the latest in jewelry, the latest in cars, the latest in hanging out, expensive restaurants. And I'm not saying don't do it. Once again, don't get me wrong. But my value, my personal value, was placed in doing those things. If I wasn't doing those things, then I'm nothing. Right? And I understand that's so far from the truth. The truth is, I get to define who I am, and my definition is based on that which I came, which is from the source, God. Okay? However you, whatever your denomination is, whatever your religion, I'm not talking religion, right? I'm just talking the entity that created this whole demo, this whole demonstration. That's what I identify with. Okay? So anything outside of that is, I just want that experience. I want to travel to those places. I want to travel nice. I want to drive nice cars. I want to have nice clothes. But it's because I want those experiences. But I'm not emotionally attached to those outcomes. Okay, so I know I'm being repetitive, but it's so important that we understand this. The illusory nature of outward appearances, the undue value that society places on outward appearances, is fueled by the ignorance that everything we experience in the outward physical world has its origin in the inner mental world. I'm going to say that again. The undue value that society places on outward appearances is fueled by the ignorance that everything we experience in the outer physical world has its origin in the inner mental world. This means that all outward appearances are just that, appearances. Illusion. Illusions, right? You've all seen The Matrix. This does not mean that they are not physically real. It simply means that the appearances that you cling to so dearly and that you use to judge your own worth relative to that of others are really just products of the most powerful resource of all, your mind. Okay, because that's where all things come from. It starts inside as an idea, as a thought, as a belief, and then we put it into action. Whether directly or indirectly, we're doing something, and then it manifests itself in the outer world. Right? That's the universal law of correspondence. So my life corresponds to what's going on inside of me, not the other way around. Right? So it's foolish of me to think that things happen outside of me and then they affect me internally. That's not how it goes. It was inside of me, so I manifested it outwardly, and now I'm experiencing my own physical manifestation of what's going on inside of me. So if I want to change what I see in my outward world, I need to work on what's going on inside of me. Okay? I'm going to go back a sentence. This does not mean that they are not physically real. It simply means that the appearances that you cling to so dearly and that you use to judge your own worth relative to that of others are really just products of the most powerful resource of all, your mind, and are hence subject to change through your mind's activity, your thoughts. It is your thoughts that create your circumstances, and hence your thoughts that can change them. Comparing yourself to others simply keeps your thoughts focused on the very circumstances that you most likely want to change, and by the law of attraction, you create more of the same. Okay? Comparing yourself to others simply keeps your thoughts focused on the very circumstances that you most likely want to change. And by the law of attraction, you attract more of the same. Okay? So simply put, what you resist persists. It's your attention to something that magnifies it. The universe is neutral, right? It'll give you whatever you're thinking about. So if I'm saying, I don't want to be broke, I don't want to be broke, I hate being broke, I might be thinking, well, if I'm saying I hate being broke, In actuality, I'm saying I want to be rich. No, because being rich or feeling wealthy is in a different frequency than broke. Broke is on its own frequency, wealth is on a separate frequency. So if I'm talking about not being broke, not being broke, broke, not being broke, I'm going to attract more of being broke. That's how that works. So I would need to find a way to raise my vibration towards prosperity, abundance, and then I will attract more of those feelings. And it starts just by being grateful about where you are and what you have right here, right now. If you got 10 cents in your pocket, be grateful for that 10 cents. Don't complain that you don't have the other 90 to make a dollar. Complaining about not having the 90 is going to keep you broke. Okay? It seems tedious, but we have to be meticulous with this stuff. What you resist persists. Keep that in mind. What do you really value? It should be obvious to you by now that it is futile to base your self-worth on outward appearances that are relative in nature and simply the product of one's mind. The question then is, what should you base it on instead? This exercise will enable you to see for yourself what you really value. Make a list of all those human qualities that you value. We talked about that earlier. Some examples may be personal integrity, self-love, which is so important. Self-love, so important. The ability to show love, right? Being emotionally available, emotionally vulnerable, not weak. That's what I used to think. I used to think being vulnerable was weak. It's not. It's actually a sign of strength. The ability to show love, kindness, self-confidence, not arrogance, honesty, self-conviction, being true to oneself, a sense of humor, affection, gratitude, and so on. Compassion, empathy, sympathy, the list goes on and on. Also, the ability to use and display any one emotion appropriately, right? We don't want to go overboard on anything. At the right time and in the appropriate degree. Now compare this list of values to your original list of outward appearances that you have up until now inadvertently been using as your yardstick for self-worth. Which list holds what you truly value? It is easy the one that makes you feel an inner sense of calm and power that cannot be disturbed by outward forces or opinions. That's the list that we should value. The one that makes you feel an inner sense of calm and power that cannot be disturbed by outward forces or opinions. Right? Placing my value, how much money, the car, right? Doesn't give me a sense of inner peace, inner calm. Because those are outside forces that I can't control. Right? I can only control what's going on inside of me. But I can control how dependable I am, how reliable I am, my communication skills, how honest am I, how much integrity do I have, how much compassion can I show, how much love can I express. I can control that. Right? Those are muscles that I can develop, and it gives me a sense of empowerment. Right? And then expressing those things, those other things will fall into place. Trust me. It is the list of human values. The more you associate yourself with the real you, that is your higher self, image and likeness of God, the more such human values will define you. Redefining success. Now that you can see how misguided the stereotypical definition of success is, being based on outward appearances, you can write down a new definition of success based on those virtues and qualities on your second list. One of the most well-known definitions of success has to be that of Ralph Waldo Emerson. We've all heard of him. This is what he had to say about success: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. I mean, that says it all, right? To even know one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That's success. That's success, not having trillions of dollars, yeah, it would be great to have it, but that doesn't make you worthy. You can have $1 and give somebody 20 cents and their life is better because you didn't, man, you successful in my book all day long. That your time is given to those who can use your service. And I'm not saying you got to do everything for free. Always got to quantify stuff because people get to run it off. Oh, you should, look, this is how we can define success for ourselves. What I do is when I go to the gym, whatever machine I'm on, I clean up around it. I put the weights back. I pick up pieces of paper that are in the area that I didn't even drop, weights that I didn't use. But my goal is to leave it better than I found it. Try to leave people, situations, and things better than, to me, that's success. That makes me feel good. It makes my environment more lively, right? And then it's contagious. I see other people doing it because they see me doing it. Not everybody's going to do it. I'm not doing it to get everybody to do it. I'm doing it because that's what I think of myself. I don't participate in dirty environments. I value myself. I love myself. I'm a clean person, so I want my environment to be clean. Okay? Your very own definition of success. Write down your own definition of success, including all those virtues you admire most, and use it as your new yardstick for success. Think big and even go beyond what Emerson had to say about success. Make sure your definition of success is about you, not about others. Excuse me, or how you compare to them or what they may think of you. Print it out and place it somewhere where you can see it every day. Read it every day and endeavor to make it your way of life. You will quickly find that your need to compare yourself to anyone else disappears. As a once-off exercise, use your new definition of success to recompare yourself to those people you used to compare yourself to based on society's definition. Not to judge yourself and not to judge them, but just to see, wow, I'm doing some things differently, like I've made some improvements. You may find that they do not display any of the virtues that you have used to define real success, and so no matter how much money they have or how high up they have climbed on the career ladder, or how attractive they are, or how happy they seem to be in their relationships, that you would never really want to be like them. For example, would you still want someone else's career if you knew they had backstabbed their colleagues to get there? I wouldn't. Of course, when comparing yourself to random strangers, you can never really know their true virtues, so doing it is itself pointless based on your new definition of success. Now, it doesn't mean that anybody who strived to become and climb the career ladder has backstabbed everybody, right? So that's what I would do. I would see one story about a rich person being greedy, because I like to watch American Greed and all of those shows with white collar crime. So I was thinking everybody rich was greedy and sneaky and cheats, right? So that was external definition. I got that from outside of me, and I took it as my own. And then I'm saying in the same breath, but I want to be rich. That's not how the universe works, buddy. So I can't look at well-off people in a negative light and then expect to be rich, because my inner being is going, no, because you think rich people are greedy. So why am I going to let you be rich? Because you're going to be greedy too, right? So I had to realize that not all rich people are greedy. Not all black people are, drug dealers. Not all white people are racist. Not all Mexican people do gardening. You know what I mean? Like all the stereotypical stuff. Every race has its good and bad, its positive and negative, just like everything else. Universal law of polarity, right? Inside every individual is the greatest capacity to express love, and also the capacity to demonstrate the most heinous crime you've ever seen. Everybody has that capacity. If put in a situation, you never know what you would do. You would kill somebody if they were threatening your life, and we could justify it. Oh, it's self-defense. That's BS. You committed murder. Justifiably so or not, you still did it. It's still a heinous act to kill somebody. Okay? So I accept that I have good and bad in me. I don't judge myself for it. I just try to focus on those attributes that I want to continually express more often than not. Um, Make outer appearances a choice, not your yardstick. Your new definition of success does not mean that you throw out the old one. It simply means that those outer appearances by which society defines success no longer define you. We talked about that. They no longer add to or subtract from your self-worth in any way. Your worth is independent of them. Of course, you are still free to pursue a rewarding career, to make as much money as you want, to make yourself look your best, and to acquire all those material things you may want. The difference lies in why you are doing so. And the answer is because you choose to, not because you have to, in order to feel better about yourself compared to others. You will find that when those outer appearances that you once so desperately pursued no longer define you, that they will flow freely towards you, right? Because you're not emotionally attached to them anymore. Little water, little wawa, little agua. Yeah, so it doesn't mean don't have goals, don't pursue things, don't try to accomplish. Accomplishment is sexy. But don't accomplish because it makes you feel better than somebody else. Accomplish things and go after things because you just want that experience. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with, I'm telling you, I'm trying to get cheese, paper, cheddar, call them ducats, call them what you want, fees, whatever, right? But having it or not having it is not going to define who I am, right? I consider this life a game. This is the game of life to me, right? I'm out here playing the game. The challenge of the game is winning and losing. Playing the game is all that matters to me. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. That's a part of the game. But it doesn't define who I am. It defines me because I'm playing. I'm playing the game. That's why I'm quote unquote winning. Winning and losing in a specific technical sense is just the challenge of the game. That's why we play the game. You wouldn't play any game that you won all the time. You wouldn't play any game that you lost all the time. So winning and losing is the challenge. That's why we play. But actual winning, success, let's say, is playing the game. Others as a source of inspiration. Interestingly, you will find that even if someone else displays more of a specific virtue that you admire than you do, that it brings out a sense of greater love and admiration for that person rather than a sense of jealousy and insecurity. While comparing yourself in any way is unnecessary, you can look to those people who display the qualities you admire most as a source of inspiration to become a more successful person yourself based on your definition of success. So use those people as inspiration. Aspire to be like them, not comparing yourself to them. If you must compare, if you got to, compare the whole package. We already know that we live in a society in which comparing ourselves to others is the norm, and if anything, it is encouraged from a very young age. If at first you find it difficult to stop comparing yourself, there's no need to become frustrated. Remember that it is just a bad habit that is on its way out. In the meantime, you must compare yourself. If you must compare yourself, make sure to compare the whole package, both the outward appearances and inner qualities of that person. When you compare the whole package instead of isolated factors of outward success, you are likely to find that comparing really leaves your inner self undisturbed. Mentally wish whoever you compare yourself to the same success that you wish for yourself and let it go. There is no competition in real self-worth. There is seldom a prize or career promotion for the kindest person in the office or for the person with the greatest integrity. You will find that people do not compete to see who is the kindest or who is the most loving or who is the most self-assured. This is because man's loftiest virtues belong to his higher self. Your higher self is above the opposites of the physical world and those outer appearances that society stereotypically uses to define success. Your higher self is above the need to compare, not because it cannot compare, but because it knows that doing so is futile. Man's highest virtues are fundamental to the human spirit and cannot be bought or sold for all the money in the world. Real self-worth is priceless. Building your self-worth is fundamental to achieving real success in your life. Forget what society tells you about what it means to have succeeded and endeavor to create your own definition of success based on those human qualities and virtues that you value most. Make it your goal to become a successful human being by inwardly living and outwardly displaying those virtues you admire most, and you will find no competition in your way. When you have built your self-worth based on your own definition of success, you will find that all those material things or outer appearances that once seemed out of reach no longer define you, and that they paradoxically now flow freely towards you. This is what it means to have succeeded your own way. Okay? Self-worth, self-value, interchangeable, self-image, self-love, self-respect, right? It's all of them are in common. Nobody can give them to you. You have to give them to yourself. That's why they start with self. Okay? We're gonna, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. Let's talk about self-esteem. Let's talk about self-esteem. Self-esteem is one of the most fundamental criteria for real success. A solid self-esteem founded on personal integrity is the strongest foundation upon which you can consciously create your life. Success without a healthy self-esteem can be likened to a house without the necessary foundations that can be blown away by the slightest of winds. This step-by-step guide would enable you to build a solid and healthy self-esteem that cannot be affected by outside factors or the opinions of others. Right? So we want self-esteem is the foundation. So they mentioned an example about a house. Right? We get caught up in what's on top of the foundation. Right? A shack could have a really strong foundation. Right? A mansion could be built on quicksand. What would you rather have? Some people, I'll give me the mansion. I'll have it for however long it lasts. And I'm going, nah. Give me the shack that got the solid foundation. Because I can tear that outward thing down and build something a little more sturdy on top. Okay, so self-esteem is the foundation. Because if I'm placing my value outside of myself, looking for it from other people, so no matter how much I accomplish, if somebody doesn't have something positive to say to me, I'm going to crumble. Because I'm looking to them for my worth, my value, my self-esteem. I got to give that to myself. Let go of perfect. I was guilty. The first step when building self-esteem is to let go of any need to be perfect and even the idea of being perfect. Just the way you are. Perfection is just another term thrust on us by society that keeps us stuck. The delusion of perfect is largely based on the stereotypical definition of success, itself focused on outer appearances such as physical looks, wealth, career status, and so on. There's nothing like perfect in a relative world where everything is subject to comparison. I challenge you to find one perfect person that exists today or that ever existed. Some would argue Jesus. Hey, I'm not trying to get into no religious debate or nothing. If that's what you believe, rock on. I don't know. And when I say perfect, I mean really perfect, emotionally, physically, and mentally. I can guarantee you that you will not find anyone. It's not that human beings are imperfect by nature. It's just that there is nothing like perfect in this physical world of the opposites, where everything is relative, where there is always someone prettier or less attractive, or more intelligent or less so, or wealthy or poor. After all, the delusion of perfect in the physical realm is such a moving target. Think about it. The perfect female body in the Rubenesque years is today's woman struggling desperately to lose weight. Real perfection belongs only to the spiritual realm of your higher self that is above the opposites of the physical world and bears no comparison. Come on, y'all. We come on. This is so plain. Talk about making it plain. That's so true. Like the quote unquote beautiful women today was not considered attractive 100 years ago. Right? A healthier, fuller woman was considered the toast of the town. But trends change, styles change, music that was hot 30 years ago. It was not hot 20 years ago. And then something else was 10 years. You know what I mean? Like everything is constantly changing. So the ideal, the notion of being perfect, is it really possible? Or you are just who you are at that given time and space doing the very best that you can do. That's where I'm at. So anything other than that, then I'm playing a head game with myself. I would never I'm thinking back now, reflecting. I would never have tried to do anything if perfection was the goal. I would have never done it because I would always been questioning, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Is this good enough? Yes, it's good enough for right where you are. Your attempt is good enough right where you are. There's no, yeah, I'm cool on that perfect stuff. Excuse me. You can only change what you accept. The second step in building self-esteem is acceptance. You can only really change those aspects of yourself that you have accepted because it is only then that you are not attached to the change or to the outcome. Acceptance is always the best prescription whether you can or cannot change something. Accepting what you can change does not mean that you become complacent. It does not mean that you do not change those things that stand in the way of your success, but rather that you no longer fight or resist them. Remember, and I said it earlier, whatever you resist persists. In other words, accepting what you can change gives you the freedom to do so. As long as something can be changed, you have the power to do so. But when you have tried everything or find that it is beyond your power to change it, then you have the courage to give it up to your higher power. There's only so much we can do in this physical realm, and trust me, there is other dimensions of being, of creativity, of knowing that we don't physically see. Okay? The mental world realm, the spiritual realm are above anything that we can come in contact with physically. So you do what you can, right? You go, you toil, you till the soil, and you prepare it, you water it, you nurture it, you plant your seeds, you protect it, and then you have to step back and let nature, source, God, higher power, higher spirit, whatever you want to call it, do what it needs to do. There's certain things we have no control over. It's the process that's going to take its place and do what it has to do. So having a baby, we do our part. Guys, we fertilize the egg. Women, you produce the egg, and then we got to get out the way and let whatever that is that connects that sperm and that egg together and doubles that cell and doubles that cell and grows and grows and grows, and 9 months later there's a baby popping out. Come on. That ain't got nothing to do with us. Right? So change what you can. I have the power to control my thoughts. So if it comes to a healthier diet, I have the power to control what I put in my mouth. I have the power to go exercise. I have the power, when it comes to my finances, to not spend every dollar that I earn. I have the power to be creative enough to create things that can earn me more income. I have the power to do that. Certain things I can't control somebody else. I'm not trying to. I can only control me, and those things about me that I can't control, I give it up to God. On the other hand, there are certain aspects of yourself or your life that you perhaps cannot change, whether immediately or ever. Only you know what those aspects are. Accept them and be at peace with your acceptance. Acceptance really means to change what you tell yourself and about your experiences. It is the mental state of seeing things neutrally, knowing that it is not what happens to you that counts, but how you perceive it. The importance of personal integrity. The third step in building self-esteem is living with personal integrity. Being out of integrity systemically chips away at your self-esteem. When you are in integrity, your thoughts, words, and actions are in harmony with each other. Boom. That is probably the most important principle that I live by, is making sure that my words and my actions are in alignment, then I don't have to worry about anything. So whatever shows up, hey, I did it, right? And I give people, friends and family, associates, hey, you listening, if you ever catch me saying one thing and doing something else, check me. You have my permission, because that's the most important thing to me, is making sure that I stay in alignment, that I'm in integrity, that my words, my thoughts, my words, my actions are married together. There's harmony. That's the second law of the universe. They correspond. You say what you think, mean what you say, and walk your talk while exhibiting those human qualities that you value most. Personal integrity is what effortlessly keeps your self-worth aligned with your self-esteem and enables you to live in accordance with your own definition of success and not that which has been handed to us by society. Okay? Can't nobody tell you nothing if you're thinking, speaking, and acting in alignment, in integrity. Okay? When you are in integrity, you have nothing to hide or to hide from, right? Because you're communicating your truth. You don't have to run from the truth. You gotta hide from a lie. You gotta try to remember what you did when you tell a lie. When you tell the truth, okay, that's what it is. That's what I said. That's what I meant. I'm in alignment with that. I'll deal with the consequences of it. You have no reason to lie, no reason to compare yourself to anyone, and no reason to seek the approval of others. No advice is better on the subject of personal integrity than that of William Shakespeare through the words of Polonius to his son Laertes in Hamlet. This is above all. To thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day. Thou canst not then be false to any man. This is what it means to be in integrity, to be true to yourself. To thine own self be true, and it must follow, just like night follows day and day follows night. Okay? To what it means to be in integrity is to be true to yourself. It is to be authentic, not some copy of anyone that you think you should be like that has been dictated to you by society's misguided definition of success. Measuring your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is a function of what you think about yourself, which is in turn a function of your deeply ingrained subconscious beliefs. When building self-esteem, you must honestly evaluate the current state of your thoughts about yourself. To do this, you must identify your beliefs. Forget what others think about you. It is your thoughts about you that count. After all, it is your thoughts that create your reality. Too many of us let other people's thoughts create our reality. Let your thoughts create your reality. Decoding your beliefs. The fourth step in building self-esteem is to discover those deeply ingrained beliefs that run your life on autopilot at the subconscious level, and that ultimately determine the quality of your success. The easiest way to do this is make a list, starting with the words I am. For example, I am attractive, I am clever, I am successful, I am stupid, I am sexy, I am a failure, I am too sensitive, I am too tall, I am lazy, I'm not good enough, and so on. Do not try to intellectualize the exercise by thinking about your answers. Don't judge them, just write them things down. Simply write down whatever comes to you without too much conscious thought. You will find that your list is a mixture of both positive and negative beliefs. Naturally, your self-esteem is likely to be stronger if the positive beliefs outnumber the negative, and weaker if the reverse holds true. Your aim is to use the positive beliefs to your advantage and to transform and rise above the negative ones. Your positive beliefs are the source of your strengths. The fifth step in building self-esteem is to discover and focus on your strengths. You will find that most of your natural strengths are associated with your positive subconscious beliefs. Make a separate list of all your positive beliefs from the I am list you created, and make a note of the associated strength or strengths next to each belief. For instance, I am confident may be associated with being a strong public speaker, or with the ability to speak your mind truthfully and without the need of pleasing or the fear of offending anyone. Make an effort to focus on and bring out those natural strengths within you, not so that they can be better than anybody else, but because they are your gift. You will find that as you focus on your own innate strengths, rather than comparing yourself to others, that your thoughts, words, and actions will be accompanied by more solid self-esteem. Your negative beliefs sabotage you. So if your positive beliefs are your source of strengths, your negative beliefs sabotage you. It's a law of polarity. Since it is your negative beliefs that largely create your unwanted circumstances, they are the ones that need to be transformed. This is the next step in building self-esteem. Go back to your original list of I am beliefs and this time highlight the negative ones. Once again, it is easiest to make a separate list of just your negative or limited beliefs. Doing so will provide you with a comprehensive list of what is standing in the way of your success. Recognize that those beliefs are not real in an absolute sense. They are nothing more than beliefs that you once did not have and which have now become self-sabotaging habits. They are nothing more than a product of your experiences that you have perceived as being negative, while unwittingly letting those perceptions determine what you think of yourself. No belief has any power over you other than that which you have given it. So positive or negative can have no power over you unless you give it power. It's what you give your attention to that you breathe life into. Okay, so you can breathe life into positive stuff just as easy as you can breathe life into negative stuff. Okay, transforming your limiting beliefs. Your aim is to mentally transform and rise above your negative or limiting beliefs when building self-esteem. There are several techniques that you can use with this end in mind. These include the mental repetition of positive affirmations, acting as if your specific negative underlying belief is its positive equivalent, creative visualization, and mental time travel. Above all, knowing the truth about yourself is the route of least resistance when transcending your negative beliefs. No negative belief, no matter how deeply ingrained, stands any chance in the face of the knowledge that you are part of the all-powerful universal mind, which I call God. Your true nature is your higher consciousness that is above both your positive and negative beliefs that defines itself by neither. Building self-esteem is fundamental to consciously creating the success you want to experience in your life. Your self-esteem is determined by what you think about yourself, which itself is a product of your positive and negative subconscious beliefs. Keep in mind that we only think consciously 5% of the time. So 95% of the time, we're thinking subconsciously. We're running on autopilot, on programs that were instilled when we were children, and we just run in these programs. And think about the term conscious and the term subconscious. Sub, everybody knows, means under. So subconscious should be underneath your conscious. So your conscious, we should be thinking 95% of the time, your subconscious 5% of the time. Or those conscious beliefs that support the positive things that we're trying to do, we need to be filing them away or programming them into our subconscious thinking, and now let that be the programs that run, and not these negative limiting beliefs that we've been carrying since we was kids. Okay, we grown-ups now. And if you're a teenager or a young adult watching this, start now. Don't wait till you in your 30s and your 40s to try to figure this stuff out. Get a head start. Let go of the delusional goal of being perfect. Accept what you can change and then endeavor to do so. Accept what you cannot change and be at peace with that. Focus on your positive beliefs and bring out your natural strengths while you learn to transform and rise above your limiting beliefs. Only when you know yourself can you really free yourself to be you and to live with the personal integrity that is the backbone of true success. Okay? Self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, self-love, self-respect, self-image. All of those things are so important when it comes to consciously creating the reality that we want to see. Okay? I think that's it. Thought I had another point to make, but I think that's it. Once again, it's your boy Brooklyn Mclinn, Life Strategy Meetup. Always remember that life needs a strategy. Yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.